You know that feeling, right? When you're sort of standing at a crossroads,
Hmm.
maybe feeling a bit lost, not not totally sure where to go next in life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think most of us have been there.
It's pretty common.
And when you're in that spot, getting tons of advice can sometimes just, make things muddier.
Right. Adds to the confusion.
What you really need are maybe some tools to help you cut through all that noise and actually listen to yourself.
Exactly. And that's why today we're doing a deep dive into just one source.
Yeah?
It's an essay called 10 Questions to Ask Yourself When You Don't Know Where Your Life Should Go Next.
Catchy title.
It is. So think of this deep dive as like your personal guide through that essay. We're going to pull out the key bits specifically for you.
So the mission is basically unpacking these 10 questions.
Yep. To see how they can work as a practical compass when you're feeling that uncertainty.
And these aren't just like theoretical questions to think about vaguely.
No, not at all. They're designed as prompts, really, to uncover genuine direction
Yeah.
based on what actually matters to you.
Okay, so getting past the fluff.
Getting straight to the core insights from this essay. Let's jump right in with the first question. It's interesting because it flips the usual script a bit.
It really does. So instead of asking for that polished elevator speech about your dream life,
Right. The title or the concept.
yeah, the essay asks, if you had the life you think you want, what would tomorrow be like? The focus is totally on the daily grind, the routine.
That's so different, isn't it? It's easy to say, I want to be a famous author or whatever.
Sure. Or a CEO.
But imagining, say, a typical Tuesday in that life, what time do you actually get up?
What's the first thing you do? Who are you talking to?
What tasks fill your day? That's much harder to picture sometimes.
And way more revealing.
Definitely.
And the real kicker, according to the source, is the follow-up. Once you've visualized that ideal tomorrow, what specific parts of that vision can you start doing tomorrow? Like right now.
Okay. So it grounds the big dream in something immediate.
Exactly. Actionable steps, even tiny ones.
That makes the future feel less daunting, more accessible.
Mm-hmm. It connects the dream to the present.
Okay, cool. Question 2 then. This one really hits on modern life.
Yeah.
If social media didn't exist, what would you do differently?
Ooh, that's a good one. That cuts right to the core of external validation versus what you really want.
Right.
The essay pushes you to think, would you dress differently? Would your home feel the same?
Would you chase different hobbies?
Yeah, if that faceless mob behind the screens, as the essay calls it, just wasn't there.
It's trying to get you to peel back the layers of performing for others.
Mm-hmm. The curated self.
What choices are you making, or maybe not making, because you're thinking about how it looks online?
And what would you do just for the pure joy of it? Or the fulfillment, without worrying about likes or comments?
So the real goal here is finding out what truly matters to you.
When you strip away that pressure to perform,
Yeah.
who are you when nobody's watching?
Which actually leads perfectly into question 3 and kind of pushes that idea even further.
You okay?
If nobody would know what you did with the rest of your life, what would you do?
Wow. Okay, so zero external recognition at all.
None. No praise, no fame, no extra money beyond just getting by. Nothing but the act itself.
So this explores that idea of a truly non-performative life.
Exactly. If all the external rewards vanished, how would you choose to spend your time?
That's a fascinating test, isn't it, for finding genuine passion?
Yeah. What activities, what interests still feel compelling when all the outside motivators are gone?
What just energizes you purely for its own sake?
It helps you sort of separate the shoulds, the things you think you ought to want.
From the things that actually resonate deep down, yeah.
Right.
Regardless of any audience.
Okay, get ready for question 4. It's a bit stark, this one,
Uh-oh.
but apparently very insightful. If you died yesterday, what would you most regret?
Okay. Yeah, that's heavy. But I can see how it works.
Right. It's sobering, but the essay presents it as a powerful clarifier.
Looking back from the very end, what feels incomplete?
Exactly. What connections didn't you deepen? What experiences did you keep putting off?
What things did you leave unsaid?
It forces a shift in perspective away from just future worries.
And uses that past reflection, those potential regrets, as signals.
Right. Signals for how you should live now, today and tomorrow. What would you wish you'd done differently, or seen, or how you'd responded?
It's a pretty potent reminder, then, that looking back can really light up the way forward.
Definitely. Okay, building on that, question 5 pulls us back to foundations.
Right.
If you could choose 5 things that matter most to you, what would they be? Just 5.
Core values. The essay basically argues your life is built on a few core values, whether you realize it or not.
And the key insight, the essay says, is this. When your life feels, I don't know, out of alignment.
Or off the rails.
Yeah, that feeling, it's almost always because you're living in a way that clashes with one or more of those fundamental values.
Right. So fulfillment, according to this source, isn't some big mystery.
It's
simply living in accordance with what we genuinely value.
So identifying those 5 things is like drawing up your personal blueprint.
Yeah, they become your internal compass.
Mhm.
When you face a choice, you check it against those values.
Provides clarity. Makes sense. Question 6 now focuses on something quieter, more intuitive.
Okay.
It asks, to what in your life do you feel a subtle, unexplainable nudge? Or what gives you a feeling of subtle, unexplainable enjoyment?
Ah, the quiet signals. The essay really urges you to tune into those feelings, those little resonances.
It calls them the things that are real.
Yeah, like genuine emotional feedback. Different from what your logical mind might think you should like or chase.
It's that little pull, that flicker of interest that keeps coming back.
Or just a sense of rightness about something, even if you can't really explain why.
Not loud demands, just subtle pointers.
Towards things you're genuinely aligned with. And learning to listen to those nudges that essay suggests can open up paths your brain might just miss.
Interesting. Okay, question 7 revisits that idea of external perception, but flips it on its head.
How so?
It asks, if you knew nobody would judge you, what would you do with your days?
Ah, removing the negative judgment.
Exactly. But then it goes further. If you would only be praised for your work, for your life, and for your choices, which would you make? What would you do?
Wow. So only positive reinforcement, that really highlights how much the fear of judgment can box us in.
Totally. It shapes our behavior, limits our choices, often without us even realizing it.
So by imagining this world of only praise, you can maybe uncover desires or actions you're suppressing simply because you're afraid of criticism.
Yeah, it's like asking you to explore the space that fear is currently taking up.
What bold moves would you make? What creative things would you try?
How would you actually spend your time and energy if that fear just wasn't a factor?
It's a powerful way to try and liberate your thinking from those perceived limits.
Now, here's one that feels a bit counterintuitive at first. Question 8.
Okay.
It asks directly, what are you struggling with the most right now?
Huh. Okay, how does that help find direction?
Well, the fascinating idea from the source is that your biggest struggles aren't just obstacles.
They're signals.
Powerful signals, yeah. Pointing towards where you need to grow or move next.
Okay, give me an example.
Well, the essay uses one like, if your main struggle is feeling lonely, lacking meaningful relationships,
Okay.
that struggle isn't just a negative thing to endure, it's actually a sign
The sign that.
that the next really important step for you probably involves putting energy into building connections.
Ah, I see. So the struggle itself reveals the need and therefore the direction.
Exactly. Your struggles highlight what you truly want or need to develop. They show you the door to your next steps, where your energy should probably go.
That's a really interesting reframe.
Isn't it? Which actually leads pretty smoothly into question 9. This one shifts from the challenges to your resources.
Right. What you've got to work with.
Yeah. What do you already have going for you at this present moment?
This brings in that mantra the essay mentions, something about starting where you are.
Exactly. It calls it the only way to really kickstart major change. Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
So no need to wait for a perfect moment or all the resources to magically appear.
Nope. Just acknowledge your current reality. What skills do you have? Who's in your network? What's your financial situation, your knowledge base?
And begin there.
Just begin there. It's pretty empowering, actually.
Yeah, it puts the power back in the present moment. Action starts with what's available now, not in some ideal future.
Right. Okay, last one. Question 10. And this one delivers a pretty stark reality check.
Lay it on me.
If you had to live tomorrow on repeat for the rest of your life, what would you do? Or maybe even clearer, if you lived today on repeat forever, where would you be?
Oof. Okay. That's intense. It really puts your current daily habits under a microscope, doesn't it?
Totally. Would you be thriving at work? Would you be spending real time with people you care about?
Would you be doing creative stuff like writing or music, if that's your thing?
Managing money, okay. Dressing in a way that feels like you.
Taking a moment to, I don't know, enjoy a sunrise.
Yeah.
Eating well for the long haul.
All those daily things. And the core message is just crystal clear, isn't it?
Yeah. Your life exists in its days, not in your ideas about those days.
Exactly. Your default habits, what you do over and over.
They're literally building your life, whether you're consciously directing it or not.
So imagining today on repeat forever forces you to confront.
Yeah.
Are your current defaults actually building a life you want to live infinitely?
It's a real confrontation with the cumulative power of daily choices. If you wouldn't choose to live today on repeat.
Then something in your today needs to shift.
Wow. Yeah.
So there they are, 10 pretty powerful questions, all pulled straight from this one essay.
A potential roadmap, like you said, for when you're feeling unsure about the direction.
And they're not just, abstract ideas to bat around.
No, they feel like practical tools.
Right.
For self-discovery, cutting through the noise.
Listening to your own signals, getting clear on values.
And identifying actual next steps based on your authentic self.
We've tried to distill the key insights from the source, just for you, hoping it gives you a framework for navigating those uncertain times.
But the essay just gives you the questions, the real work, the real journey that starts when you actually take the time to sit with them.
And honestly explore your own answers. Which kind of leaves us with one last thing for you to think about.
Okay.
Asking the questions is the first step, sure. But what courage does it take, not just to ask, but to really listen to the quiet, maybe sometimes difficult whispers of your own answers? And then maybe even dare to act on what they reveal.